South Africa may need apply for more red notices from Interpol to bring the Guptas justice. The Justice Ministry was informed on Thursday that Rajesh and Atul Gupta's extradition request had failed. The trial was held in February, and South African officials said they were not immediately notified. Although an attempt to extradite Gupta brothers Rajesh and Atul from the United Arab Emirates failed, South African officials say options are running out. Justice and Correctional Services Minister Ronald Lamola said at a news conference Friday that his department informed on Thursday that the extradition hearing was held on February 13th and the extradition request denied. The brothers are wanted by South African authorities on money laundering and charges. Lamola said South African officials were surprised by the decision and believed they had met all the requirements to secure extradition. A team from the National Prosecution Agency had even traveled to the UAE and sought advice from Emirati experts. However, the extradition request was rejected on what Lamola described as technical reasons. The minister said his department saw only a summary of the decision in an oral note that had to be translated. Special report GuptaLeaks, a copy of the full judgment was requested. He said South Africa will work with Emirati officials to appeal the decision, and there is precedent in the UAE, where extradition orders were issued on appeal. But attorney Shamila Batohi, director of National Attorney General's Office, said the NPA must first review decision and look at potential options. Batohi warned that return is a complex process. The South African government has said that while it can engage with Emirati authorities, it cannot influence the appeals process. This means that South Africa is completely at mercy of the UAE to ensure that they do everything possible to assist requesting state. Batohi added that Interpol's red notices for the Guptas expire when the permits expire and are executed. An application must be made in order to issue a new red notice. Batohi explained that if the red notices are reinstated or the Guptas visit a country with which South Africa has an extradition treaty, they can be arrested or extradited. READWhat are the chances that Guptas will see their day in SA courts? Experts weigh in. Corruption is responding. They will respond by any means possible to ensure they are not brought back to South Africa, he said. Journalists also asked if it was true that the Guptas had flown to Switzerland using their South African passport and applied for asylum from various countries. There were reports of Gupta sightings in Switzerland and the Central African Republic. Lawyer Mashabane, Director General of the Justice and Correctional Services Department, replied, "We do not know about this and we have not been informed by the countries where they are said to have applied for asylum." He also recently learned that the Guptas are citizens of Vanuatu, an archipelago of small islands in the South Pacific Ocean. Director of African Transnational Criminal Justice Center at University of Western Cape, Dr. John Markey said that if South African Guptas want to face justice again, their best option may be to work with Interpol. He explained that for the extradition process, South Africa would require an extradition agreement with the country where a fugitive was found. Well, South Africa will have to consider where they are and whether there is an extradition treaty with the state. READ News 24's coverage of the state arrest investigation. He added that if the fugitive flees a country that does not have such an agreement, it becomes increasingly difficult to return the person their country. However, the red notice will allow the fugitive to be arrested en route or upon arrival in a country. Well, this will have to go through the South African domestic legal process. South African security authorities will need to issue an arrest warrant for international organized crime such as money laundering. Once Interpol's arrest warrant goes into effect, they can be arrested on arrival in any country. This will depend on the country's local legal framework, but they can then be sent back to South Africa. But good caution that even this could be a complex legal process, depending on the domestic laws of the country in which they were detained. Lamola reprimanded Emirati authorities for inconsistent behavior with the United Nations Convention against Corruption, of which both countries are signatories. This level of non-cooperation in the area of extradition requests and mutual legal aid requests is unprecedented, Lamola said. The behavior of United Emirates does not conform to the morality of United Nations Convention against Corruption. We believe that among things the rule of law should achieve, every state should err on side of accountability and transparency rather than obscurity and obscurity.